The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production.
My grandma used to have lots of sayings. Things like, can't, never, could, and don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And right now, up to the end of July, if she was a friend of the FujiCast, like you are, she'd have been bowled over to receive 10% off all workshops, mentoring and presets, and actually anything else available on kevinmullinsworkshops.co.uk, which makes me think he might have sneaked in Get the Dog for sale. Just use the word FujiCast upon checkout and enjoy 10% off at kevinmullinsworkshops.co.uk. And Git, I think you're safe, really. Kev, how is your small holding going? Is it good? Have you moved them in yet? Or actually have you become like the goods in the good life? Cow in there as well. If I had a pig, I'd play that in.
I won the battle.
Oh, no.
The chicken coop has gone on eBay.
You're joking?
Yeah.
So it never even got any chickens in it?
No, and I'm very pleased about that. No chickens in the Mullins family.
Oh,
definitely.
no chickens?
No chickens.
Now, I was talking to somebody the other day that said that this age, now bear with me on this because he did it so much better than me. He's a Portrait Per Day. Have you ever seen Portrait Per Day on Instagram? You need to. I'm going to send you the link so that you can be a subscriber to that one. But he was telling me after an interview I did with him that this period of our history is known as and get this is the chicken epoch.
Chicken epoch?
Yes. That is because when in thousands of years time, as we do now for those that were living thousands and hundreds of thousands of years ago, we look at the soil and we take a sample of what's in that soil, and then we're able to date that period by what is in the soil.
It's called carbon dating.
Yeah.
Well,
this is the chicken epoch because apparently in hundreds of thousands of years, that's all they're going to find.
They're going to think we were all chickens.
It's just chicken bones.
The FujiCast.
I don't know why it would be chicken bones. Do they last longer or something? I don't know.
Well, chickens have become very accessible, haven't they? You know, it's...
But they're not just running down the street.
No, I know, but lots of people have chickens. What they call them in Australia? Chooks.
Chooks.
Yeah.
So there we are. We are in the chicken epoch period. Anyway, welcome to the FujiCast. Another Monday. Here we go for another one. You and your questions from our electronic mailbag. Real mixed bag today. Tech, non-tech. Stories of photo lives. Anyway, if you can send them in, we gladly accept them. Click at fujicast.co.uk. You could be on the show with your questions. If you've emailed before Fab, you are officially what we know as a friend of the show. Welcome aboard those who don't shoot Fuji. You're very welcome here, as you'll find as you listen on. We talk about all kinds of stuff, not just if you have a Fuji in your hand. Later on, we're going to take you to Club Indulgence, and thank you for those nice reviews you leave. Have you got a book of the week?
I have. I've got a book. Yep.
Do we know which one it is today? Or are you leaving us on?
No. I've got quite a rare but easily accessible book by Jane Bown. I'm going to leave it at that for now.
Does that mean it's worth a lot of money?
No.
I won't put the coffee cup.
I'll tell you already how much I paid for it. £2.49.
No way.
Yes.
A Jane Bowen one?
Yep.
Wow. One of my favourite photographers, actually. I love her story. And we got another couple of we got one disaster from the disaster file coming up in the show. And as far as the interview goes, today we're going to hear from Paul Sanders in what I think is one of the most candid conversations I've had with a photographer. Now, before we start, we have something very important to do. Kev, you were involved in this, of course, during the lockdown. One of your pictures is in this, and we've got a very important job to do today.
We have indeed. So Ian Palmer, who is a wonderful photographer himself and a teacher, set up something called Fuji Fund, which was a website for people to buy prints from some of the Fujifilm X-photographers and some of the X-photographers, which always makes me chuckle. And he made a couple of grand, I think, maybe more. I don't really know.
He didn't. The charity did.
The charity did, of course. And all the money all the proceeds went to hungry children in the UK, and also some towards COVID relief fund across the world. So well done to him.
It was incredible, wasn't it? How some people just sort of jumped on this I've got to do something for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And whilst we weren't officially a partner of it, we did kind of promote it on the website, and one of my pictures went, and actually my picture was the first to sell.
I was going to say, did it go?
Yeah.
On first day.
Take that, Jonas Rask.
It's not a competition.
Yeah, it is in my little head. Anyway, the other people involved were, of course, Fujifilm UK, who donated a couple of cameras, which we are going to do the live draw for in a second.
Yep.
And Digital Lab up in Newcastle as well offered to do the printing and the framing. So well done to all those, and we literally just talked about it, and Ian said there can't be a better place for us to do the live draw for the winners of the cameras. So the way it worked was everybody...
I think you're about to say, I can't think of a better place. Well, I can, but you could have it.
Yeah, I got my... as usual, I got everything.
In absence of having somewhere I really wanted to do this, you blokes can have it.
I know. As usual, I got all my words downside up.
Another gin.
And so the plan was essentially people threw in a £5. I think that was how much it was for a ticket.
Yep.
And that got you an entry to win one of two things. First prize is a XT100 with an XC15 45 3.5 to 5.6 OIS kit box from Fujifilm UK. Nice little camera.
Shut the front door. These are amazing prizes.
Did you just say shut the front door?
I did.
That's sick, man.
I'm banging.
The second prize draw winner will win an XF10. Now, an XF10.
Yeah.
I love those little cameras.
Shut the back door. If you pardon the phrase. It's going to be one of those shows. I can feel it.
You've gone all what's his name?
Who?
That American podcaster.
Oh, I had no idea. What, Joe Rogan?
Yeah, you've gone all Joe Rogan.
God, I wish. 100 million.
Right, okay, so let's do it. So the way we're going to do it, we have all of the numbers have been thrown into a hat,
yes.
a virtual hat called the Google random number generator.
I've never seen this before. This is incredible.
Yeah, so
I like this,
all you do, you type into Google random number generator, and you get a little form where you can type in the starting number and the ending number. We have 50. Okay, so we have 50 numbers in here, 50 balls in the bag, so to speak. Some people bought more than one ticket, so they will be in with multiple chances.
Yes.
So we've typed in number 1 for number 1 min and number 50 for number 50 max. Should we do the main prize first or the second prize first?
Now, I'm going to have to add some sound effects here, obviously, because it's a silent random number generator otherwise. So we'll add so it adds a little bit of drama in. Which one? Sorry, which one do we want to go for?
Should we do the XF10 first?
XF10.
Second prize. So second prize. So the winner of the XF10
so here we go. I'll press the button. 11.
James Wallin from the United States of America.
Whoa, raise a glass to you, James.
James Wallin. I'm sure I got his surname wrong. Wahlin.
Yeah, well, that's normal.
Is very normal. James Wallin, well done to you.
Yeah, well done.
In fact, one of only 2 people, I think, from the United States on the list that I can see.
Yeah.
So that'll be...
Hang on, there was a third one. He gave some money.
Don't be rude.
Oh, no, you didn't.
That'll be the expediter people at Fujifilm UK going, oh my God, that one and only one that's cross-continent.
No, we did it fairly.
We did do it fairly. So number 11 was James Wallin. Yeah. James Wallin, well done.
Absolutely.
I have no idea whether he listens to the show, but you have won yourself an XF10.
Oh, so if he doesn't listen, then can we have it?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
yeah.
James, did you not receive it? Well, we definitely sent it.
All right, number 1. So to win the XT100 and XC15 45 3.5 to 5.6 OIS kit, such a sexy name, is...
Here we go, press the button. 20.
Felicity Cyprus. What a beautiful name.
In Cyprus, or is that her surname?
No. Her surname is Cyprus.
Oh, that's a beautiful name.
Felicity Cyprus. Yeah, it says UK next to her.
Oh,
Felicity Cyprus is a beautiful name.
Neil Cyprus, Kevin Cyprus.
That's it. Yeah, what an anticlimax. That feels like the end of something very special. So, Felicity Cyprus, you have won an XT100 and an XC15 45 f3.5 5.6 OIS kit. Well done to you. You can vlog yourself silly with that.
I beg your pardon.
Don't be rude.
And James, you can stick the little XF10 in the pocket. It's going to be smaller than your mobile phone, and you will get better pictures with it too. Yeah. So well done. Perfect. Well done, everybody.
Well done. Yeah,
and thank you to Ian for I don't know why I'm thanking him, but
well, he gave us the opportunity, which is very kind.
Well done to Ian for putting something in place that actually made a lot of money for lots of needy people, and well done to Fujifilm UK and Digital Lab and everybody else involved. I think Fuji Love podcast were involved as well, so well done to them, and Everybody else, I'm sure we've forgotten people, but hey.
Right, well done. And if you listen to the end of the show today, you'll hear what a mess up we originally made of doing that that feature.
Yeah.
Moving on. Right, question. Shall I start then? This is a really long question, but a really good one, because I think a lot of people are in this position right now, Kev. It comes from Daniel Parks in Birmingham. Hi Neil, hi Kev. I've been interested in photography for 8 years. Like any hobbyist photographer, I've had years of friends and family telling me that I should take this up properly. I went to a friend's wedding 2 years ago, took a few cheeky snaps on the iPhone. The bride and groom loved them. That they insisted I borrowed their DSLR and learn how to use a camera properly, which I did. So I got chatting to the photographer at that wedding, and he gave me his details. He's been incredibly supportive with advice and encouragement. 6 months later, my girlfriend bought me my first camera, an XT20. Went to another friend's wedding last year, left my camera at home out of etiquette. Isn't that nice, actually? Well, those people that would, and there's nothing wrong with taking a camera to a wedding.
No.
But
don't get in the way.
Yeah, and it's not all. It's not.
And don't take better pictures than us.
Well, on that note, it was a huge mistake, as the bride was distraught at the quality of the photographs given to her by the official. They were out of focus, blurry, and hadn't even been culled. How can you not cull a wedding?
Was
Weird, isn't it?
It wasn't us. Wasn't one of us, was it?
Was it Jaggy JPEG?
Jaggy JPEG. What a legend.
Legend. Is he still working, Jaggy JPEG?
I don't know. He's probably retired. He's probably got a yacht somewhere now.
No.
No, that was a good business model.
For those saying, what is that business model? Jaggy JPEG's business model. Here we go. Here comes a business lesson in 15 seconds.
So Jaggy JPEG was a guy from Cardiff who used to shoot everything on medium JPEGs. Call him Jaggy JPEG
Jaggy
because
JPEG.
the icon in the Canon camera
Jaggy.
looked like steps.
Yeah.
Jaggy JPEG.
Jaggy JPEG.
He'd rock up, he'd photograph everything all day long on Jaggy JPEGs, and then at the end of the day, he'd take the memory card out and give them to the bride and go home.
Inspired.
But, they talk about USPs, unique selling point. His unique selling point was, I will be the cheapest and I will get you your pictures quicker than anybody else.
Well, and he was right, wasn't he?
He made a very successful business. He had loads of photographers working for him.
Did he?
And yeah, absolutely. Good for him, I say.
Good old Jaggy.
Yeah.
Guys,
Well done.
I tell you what, if anybody knows Jaggy JPEG, we'd love to have him on the show.
Probably in Bermuda or somewhere now.
Well, in our eyes, it's, Anyway, I'm not suggesting that you should run a business that doesn't do the culling, doesn't do the editing, and just hands over it. I couldn't do that kind of business.
No, neither could I. Although I could do it for enough money.
Anyway, these were blurry, hadn't even been culled. Every single take had been left in. The bride ended up using one of my iPhone photos for the thank you cards posted out to everybody. You can imagine how much I kicked myself afterwards. I spent a lot of time thinking about entering the wedding photography field. Oh, you went on one of your workshops, Kev.
Yeah.
Daniel did?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and 2020 was meant to be the year I got some hands-on experience. Oh, you chose the wrong year. Whether it be shadowing as an apprentice capacity or shooting somebody else's wedding for free based on my lack of experience. Anyway, we all know what happened in 2020. On this note, I have 2 questions for you. Here we go. Here come the questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on using iPhone photographs on a website such as Squarespace? I'm not sure why Squarespace will make the difference here. Until I get the opportunity to get any proper portfolio pictures. That's number 1.
Okay. Well, personally, I don't see any problems with that whatsoever. You're showing off what you can do. I mean, you're not going to be able to print very big from them, but that's not the point. As long as you're happy with the pictures and you think they represent your style. And I definitely don't think you can photograph an entire wedding on a mobile phone. We've had that discussion many times. But as a portfolio and some images you've got, and I saw that email come in and some of the images were attached and I thought they looked great. So I was actually really surprised. Certainly one of them, I think, bride and groom coming out of the church with the confetti. Yeah. I think it was confetti. I thought, wow, God, my word, that's shot on an iPhone. Well done.
I know.
So in my mind, no. I mean, don't be prudish about it, and don't worry what other photographers are going to think.
Is it perhaps a wedding iPhonographer? Is there a market?
Shut the door.
No, the front door.
Oh,
actually, shut every door if you start suggesting that. I'll get back in my box. Anyway, second question. How capable is an XT20 of shooting a full wedding? I'm aware that this is considered entry level, and I'll upgrade when the funds allow. Have either of you shot a wedding with an XT20? And then I'm going to go through his list of lenses.
I've taken an XT20 as a backup camera occasionally. I don't think I've ever used it.
You've never been using it. I certainly haven't.
The thing to be careful of with the XT20 and XT30 and XT10 and all that kind of stuff is single card slot. For all intents and purposes, the insides are the same as their big brother counterparts or big sister counterparts. Got to be careful these days. And
gender neutral counterpart.
Same sensor, same pretty much everything else. The build is slightly different, but the single card stuff is the thing to be very careful about. Now, of course,
funny, we always used to work like that.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I mean, even I had a Canon 1D Mark IV. That only had one slot, I think. Compact flash slot, and I think it was the Canon 5D Mark II that was the first 5D one to have.
It wasn't 5D3 the first dual card.
Maybe the Cat 5. I didn't get one of them, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's the point I was going to make then was I shot many weddings on an X Pro 1, XT1, X100s, all with single card slots. Yep. But I didn't have the opportunity to not. That's the thing. And now, interestingly, in my insurance, it says that you must be using cameras with data redundancy.
Is that you're with Aduki, aren't you?
Yeah.
So is that now in their policy?
I think so. I've
not read that clause.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Okay, interesting. So now insurance companies are getting cute to that and saying you have to shoot with two.
Makes total sense to me. I don't blame them whatsoever. Don't blame them whatsoever.
Well, lens lineup, he says, I've got the 18-55, 23 f2 and the 50 f2. Is that a good collection? It is, isn't it, really? I think it's spot on.
Yeah.
50 is going to give you the, I know Kev hates me doing this, but 77 is going to be, is that enough, though, actually?
I don't go further than 56.
Do you not?
No, I haven't.
Well, no, 56 is your 85 equivalent, isn't it?
Yeah, so 50 is what do you say, 77?
77 thereabouts, isn't it?
It's just, that's what's that? Half a step forward, half a step back.
Cardboard box.
The only thing to think about is that extra stop of light. So
that's true.
F2 to f1.2 or f1.4 is quite a difference in low light.
I could not be without the 56 for weddings.
No,
because of that 1.2 for me, that makes all the difference as well. Because we don't live in California. No. The light is not always beautiful in this country. No. Whatever happens, I know that content and emotion are very important, more important than kit. I just wondered how much harder I'll be making it for myself using an entry level camera. Well, it's the dual slot thing that is the concern there, Daniel. I don't think anything else is the concern.
No, but also I think it's interesting that he picked up on the fact that it's an entry level camera. I don't think Fujifilm would call it an entry level camera, but I think the fact that in his mind it's an entry level camera. Think about the correlation between the words entry level and professional photographer.
Right.
If you're being paid by virtue of the word professional, do you want to be using entry level stuff?
Kit, no. Well, or what you would consider entry level kit. Yeah. Okay, long question, but worth going there because I think many people will find themselves in that position this year. Kev, yours.
Right. As you can tell, I'm well prepared as usual. Right, I will go with
I've double space stuff for you as well.
Yeah, my eyes aren't what they used to be.
You got your glasses.
Yeah. All right, Gregory Harding. He says a quick question about the restrictions being seemingly eased. Weddings are still an issue, of course, in that limited numbers, and rules around singing in church or dancing at the reception are bound to be tight for a while. Yeah. Do you think this will lead people even into 2021 to rethink? Enjoy the show. Regards. A still concerned wedding shooter in Kent.
I don't know. The restrictions, they change from week to week, don't they? Or not really week to week, every couple of weeks, but it's just almost impossible to second guess this one, isn't it?
I don't want to get political again because I do think everybody is trying their best, but I did make me laugh. They couldn't suck more life.
Hang on a minute.
Warning.
He says he doesn't want to get political, but it's coming.
They couldn't suck more life out of a wedding if they possibly tried.
I know.
So basically, they said, right, on the 4th of July, which is
Saturday,
just gone, 2 days ago.
Saturday just gone, yeah.
You can go to the pub.
Yeah.
You can go to the pub.
Yeah.
You, of course, you have to social distance and you have to have table service. Yeah. So the pubs will open at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning.
It's just going to be
and by 11 p.m. Saturday night, it's going to be a complete and utter
Don't be rude.
show. All over the country, people are going to be
absolutely. Yeah. I think they are. Now, the funny thing is here, we're trying to do this as if we're on the Monday. We're recording this just a few days before this what Kevin's called a show, so we're looking ahead to this, but also looking back in a kind of weird TARDIS-y kind of way.
Well, and the thing is, I'm happy the pubs are opening because my friend who runs the pub and everything, he needs to earn, and I just think that the priorities are pants. You know, the weddings, they've said, you can have a wedding. Yeah, go and have a wedding. Yeah. Maximum of 30 people, which includes the celebrant, photographer, organist, all of that kind of stuff. They can only be from 2 families. You cannot stand next to each other.
Oh, hang on a minute. So you can't have your friends. You can only have the
2 families.
Oh, right. Okay.
You cannot stand next to each other.
No.
You have to wash your hands before and after swapping the rings.
Yes.
You can't do a first kiss. There's no singing. There's no throwing of confetti. There's no breathing. There's no blinking your eyes. You can't scratch your ass. You can't do anything at all. And then afterwards, you just got to go home. Right? Just go home. But what you can do is go to the pub. You can, after the wedding, where you're not allowed to have anybody there, you're not allowed to blink, you're not allowed to scratch your ass or pick your nose or breathe or laugh or have fun or smile or sing. Yeah. You could go to the Nag's Head next door and get absolutely hammered. But what you can't do in the morning to get over your hangover is go to the gym. You can't go to the gym because gyms
I understand.
are terrible.
Yeah, but I do understand that.
No. Tell me the difference between a gym, a good gym, where they have treadmills, for example. Treadmills are wide apart.
Yes.
But
you're dropping your sweat and your.
Well, what's going to happen in a pub?
Well, I don't go in there hot and sweaty.
Pubs, honestly, pubs. It's this country has got it all totally downside up. I'm sorry, I went political, but I firmly believe that. No, you know me, I love pubs. You know, but
would you rather go to the gym?
I would rather go to the gym.
Oh, right, okay.
I would, and also I think that from the the psychological point of view, from people. They need to be getting back out and exercising, and how the hell are we going to get people back into the Olympics back on flow and all that kind of stuff if people aren't allowed to do that? Yeah. But they can go to the pub. I mean, please. Yeah. You still go horse racing, of course. That's always been on. Yeah. They never stopped horse racing.
But I mean, Newbury had their race course meet a couple of weeks ago. There's nobody there though, Kev.
No, of course there's nobody there. But what's happening is all the people at home that struggle with gambling generally, the only thing they could possibly spend their money on was the horses. I see. So that rocketed. Yeah. The gambling helplines have been inundated with people.
Really?
Yeah, because they're all stuck at home doing nothing else, can't go to work, can't earn any money, but spending it all on the horses. And who makes money from the horses? The government. Tax.
Oh, hang on a minute. We have got political.
Oh, it's done. And it doesn't matter what colour tie the government wear, they would all do exactly the same thing. And it's all gone. I'm absolutely frustrated.
But what about the money that comes in from the coffers in the wedding industry? Well, 10 billion, we keep hearing this figure, 10 to 12 billion. I've heard, what's 2 billion between friends?
That doesn't go to the government.
No, but that's...
The pub money goes to the government. The money, every time you buy something in the pub, the government, you can see the government's going, cha-ching, cha-ching.
But that's the same, though, with us as we're working. Every time we work and get money, we have to pay some income tax.
Absolutely true, but we're still paying income tax on the loans that we've had to take out. We're still paying income tax on the bailouts. Right. So that's nothing. It's the tax. Petrol stations stayed open, of course, rightly so. They needed to. Horse riding stayed open. The pubs they're opening. Yeah. Everything that they take huge amounts of tax from, they're reopening. And I think the pubs are going to be the most dangerous thing, I have to say. Wow. I mean, look what happened in America. They bless them, their stats are going right through the roof.
I know, that frightens me.
Because they basically, there's a lot of them and they're mingling more.
Yeah.
And don't get me started on the people on the beach. I'm not.
Oh yeah, what do you think about Bournemouth? But I was a bit disappointed to see that.
I wasn't at all surprised. I was disappointed. Not so much the people that went to the beach. Yes, that was bad.
Did you see the guy?
The state they left it.
Oh, 20 tons of rubbish or something?
Where are these humans from?
Well, my mother-in-law came up with a really good suggestion the other day. She said, why not leave... No, I know you're going to say, what, Neil? It all gets washed out to sea. Bear with me on this. She said, why not leave it on the beach? Don't clear it up for them because they'll just come back the next day and drop it all again. So you leave it on the beach. So people come down to the beach and think, I don't want to sit on this beach, thanks very much. It's got 20 tons of rubbish on it. Best deterrent.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's merit in that, absolutely.
I know the merit doesn't quite work because then the tide comes in and washes it all out to sea.
They should just put a massive piece of rope around the beach and say, right, you can't go until you've tidied up, just like when you leave school.
What the BBC chose? Sorry, chaps, we will get back to the photography show in just 1 second. Bear with us. What about the chap from the BBC went out and they interviewed people and they always go, they pick this guy who said, well, I've not seen anybody that's got COVID. It's almost like it doesn't exist kind of approach. And because none of his friends had got it, anybody could come on the beach.
Oh, dear Lord.
Dear. So, having just got that off our chest, what was his question?
So the question was, do you think this will lead people to postpone even into 2021? Or actually, do you think people in 2021 will rethink their wedding plans?
I think some people might in the early part of 2021, yeah. I can't see a lot of people wanting weddings in January, February, start of March. What about you?
Well, I had a wedding booked for the 21st of December and they cancelled last week.
Right.
Just said that, you know, their particular venue was unsure that they would be allowed even by then to
do what they want to do.
To do weddings. So they've basically just said, you know, that's it. We're gone. We're done.
Don't blame them.
No, I don't blame them at all. And of course, you know, I feel desperately sorry for the clients, and I also feel desperately sorry for the venues, the venues that are behaving with integrity. The ones that aren't, I don't. But I do feel sorry for the whole industry, really. You know, and it's not just the photographers; it's obviously the videographers, the magicians, the bands.
What about the lady that does the chair covers?
Chair cover lady, yeah. Marquee companies.
Yeah.
I knew a guy who ran a marquee company once.
Did you?
And he said to me, marquees are like aeroplanes.
Right.
He said that if you haven't got them all out, you've got nowhere to keep them. So I wonder what he's doing now.
Oh God!
So if
he must have a house full of them. Darling, should we put up the marquee this weekend?
He must be in dire straits. Yeah,
Oh,
200 marquees stuck in his garage.
No, I know. We shouldn't laugh.
Big
We're not
things.
laughing. So this is gallows humour, by the way.
No,
this is not laughing
absolutely.
outside.
Yeah, but
This is
so
laughing
there's a
with the
whole load
situation.
of people outside of us, just photographers, who are, affected hugely, absolutely hugely.
I heard the other day, by the way, with all these aeroplanes on the tarmac, apparently there's going to have to be an awful lot of work done to make sure they're fit to fly, because they're not designed to sit on the ground for that long.
Well, they won't be able to do it because they've sacked everybody.
Well, that's true. In fact, you were looking for a new job, aircraft technician. You and I.
My mate DIY.
We know nothing about it, but we think we can do something with a spanner.
My mate DIY Dave used to do.
Did he?
Yeah, but he used to do 747s for BA.
Oh, okay, well, we could do 747s. Yeah. I've got a ladder.
Yeah, you've got a ladder.
Get up there, just... I don't know, what does it take? Just tap it a few times, check it works. Yep, you're okay, take off.
Hit it with a spanner. Yeah.
Seems to be all right.
Right, come on, let's get back on track.
Right.
It's terrible.
Mark Dell. Hi, guys. Still love the show. Yada, yada. With me being a Fuji addict of the X100V genre, it's an expensive bit of kit and obviously awesome and wonderful quality. Did you just say the word awesome? I'm looking for a cheaper...
Shut the front door.
I'm looking for a cheaper... You're not going to let me off that one, are you? I'm looking for a cheaper walking around the woods and on my boat camera. It needs to be cheaper due to this. I need a zoom and it has to be smaller. Do you guys suggest a used pocket zoom, say something like a Lumix or something like that? It's a gear question. Sorry, all the best, Mark. Well, you can ask a gear question. Not sure we know a lot about the Lumix range, so.
Well, I would, if it's not particularly dramatic that he needs, don't forget the X100V has got a built-in teleconverter.
Yes.
So that will take you out to 70, I don't know, 70, 50, 75 mil or something.
Yeah.
So that could be an option, Mark. Failing that, there's no real fixed lens zooms in the Fujifilm range. No. Not that I'm aware of, anyway. No. So yeah, maybe something like a Lumix or one of those. Canon do some of those little point and shoots with like a.
They used to be the XS range, but the PowerShot.
Canon PowerShot, is it? Something I don't know. I really don't know if they even make these things anymore, because obviously mobile phones have come along and. Yeah. And gobbled up people like Panasonic and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say think about the built-in tech in the X100V first before spending some more money.
There we go. Save the day on that one. Right, let's do some club indulgence, because then we've got our interview this week. I've laid it all out there for you, Kev. Don't worry, it's there. Oh, I haven't got mine though. Hold on. Here we go. So, you go first, Kev.
This is from Dave Carroll. He says, "The best is too easy."
What?
That's what it says. Neil and Kevin keep me smiling when travelling back to and from work at this dark time for mankind. Please keep it up.
Blow, it sounds like Independence Day too. This dark time of mankind. Very informative, says Pitsy01, with great banter between the presenters Neil and Kev. Well produced, on par with any professional radio show. Well, that's very kind of you, Pitsy. It's not just Fuji related either, so add this to your must listen to podcast. Highly recommended. Tell them Pitsy sent you. Go on.
So this one is from Emily Renier, friend of the show.
Not Emily Renier.
She must have sent so many reviews in.
Oh, bless
the Fujicast has become the equivalent of Kev's Murder, She Wrote.
What?
My lovely little comfort blanket. After working so damn hard trying to get my wedding, family and birth photography business going, and now witnessing it unraveled in slow motion because of COVID, to have both of you making me laugh with your memes and your how about no has made such a difference to my well-being and my determination to keep going. Take care, boys, and hopefully see you at some sort of reunion when we're all allowed out again.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Emily, thank you.
P. Daniels, who could be Paul Daniels if he was speaking from beyond the grave, of
I have
course.
a very good friend called Paul Daniels.
Have you?
Yeah.
I bet he suffered with that.
He's a very good fly half.
Oh, Paul Daniels the fly half.
Yep.
Right.
We call him Magic.
Perfect. Excellent show. Wonderful blend of listener interaction via the questions, comments, as well as gear talk, and also great interviews with photographers I never would have discovered otherwise. Thank you very much. P. Daniels.
I photographed his wedding, Magic's. He had a fancy dress wedding. And everybody was dressed up in as like crocodiles and lions and stuff like that. It was in Oxford University.
I often used to say to people when they said, "What are you wearing for the wedding?" and I'd say, "It's a fancy dress one. Come dressed as a piece of fruit," just to see if somebody would. Anyway, remember, if you sent one of these in, we really do love you. And not Nikon. And
you're our favourite listener, and we mean it.
I can't do anything about editing out the Nikon that suddenly appeared for no reason, because it was over the top of music. Hell, leave it in. Right, time for this week's interview. Paul Sanders is, without a doubt, in possession of one of the most potent stories when it comes to photography. His relationship with photography and the step change he made when he realised what he was doing was in every way, shape and form wrong for him, his health and his future. He went from being a respected pictures editor, certainly one of the most respected world newspapers, to a career in a genre so far removed from the heady world of journalism as makes no odds. His life was once fraught, headline-led, deadline-led and mentally toxic, personally that is. I talked with him last week in one of the most candid conversations I've had with a photographer, Paul Sanders. Paul, you're a news and sports photographer, but you changed direction. We'll come to the changing of direction in a moment, but that was all you ever wanted to do, wasn't it, to start with? It's a fairly heady life, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. I mean, when I first started in photography, I wanted to be a fashion and glamour photographer for reasons I probably don't need to explain too much. But I got into news when I ran out of money being a fashion photographer. I kind of spent it all. Yeah, I mean, I love news, and news is so exciting because it's one of the few places these days that you can go and take photographs of something and either be at the forefront of history being made, or every day see your pictures in print. And, what photographer doesn't like to see their work displayed and looked at by other people? And it was a real buzz. I loved the life. I was constantly on the road. I've shot some fantastic events, met some brilliant people. It was absolutely brilliant. People were very engaging. Every day was different. Always challenging, and there was a lot of competition, but it was always a good battle. So yeah, I loved it. I only ever wanted to work for the Times as a national newspaper. I don't know why, because it wasn't really a newspaper that was that great with photography. It was good, but it was not like The Independent or The Guardian. But it was the only newspaper that I held in any high regard. I think probably because of its reputation, its sort of honesty. The foreign reporting in it was superb, and I always only ever wanted to work for the Times if I got the opportunity.
But you make that journey sound so easy. It can't have been. It's
not an easy journey. I mean, I started in news in 1991, and 2002 I joined the Times. So that's 11 years, and I worked my socks off. I would think nothing at the weekly newspaper. I started out of doing 12, 15 jobs a day. When I worked for News Team in Birmingham, you'd start some mornings at 6, 7 o'clock and you'd finish when you finish. Some nights you'd finish by doing football and get home at midnight. We all lived in the same house. You lived, slept, ate, breathed, existed news and sport. That was it. I sacrificed a lot, relationships, friendships, a home life. I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to get to work in London. I knew I wanted to work somewhere big. And I would say I was never a great news photographer or a great sports photographer, but I understood what the story was.
And I guess that's really how you made that leap to being picture editor.
Again, it was down to just single-mindedness. I mean, I wanted that job, but there were other people who should probably have got it before me. There was already a picture editor of the Times when I got there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only that I worked on the compact version of the newspaper, the launch of that really brought what my vision of photography for the newspaper was. And I was very lucky because in the compact version, there were no adverts. So there was nothing in the way of displaying pictures the way I wanted to display them. And also, having been on the road as a photographer, the photographers that I worked with knew that I would fight their corner and use their pictures. When I worked at Reuters, it would always give me great pleasure to see the Reuters pictures on the front pages.
Yeah.
But when I worked at the Times, nothing gave me greater pleasure than putting a Times photographer on the front and ousting the Reuters or the AP one from the same event, because you have to support the photographers that work for you. What's the point of having them?
Did you miss the picture making at that time, though? Did you feel... I use an analogy, actually, for things like this. Did you feel perhaps like the air marshal looking out of the office window across an airfield, wishing he could still climb aboard the jet to go flying again? Because now you're behind a desk and you're organising others, but you're not out in the field anymore.
There's always an element of missing it. I mean, I love taking pictures, and I did miss it, but I was very fortunate in that I had a team of photographers that, a couple of I'd inherited, but I selected a team of photographers that I wanted to work with, and they were and are better photographers than I would ever be. So, and the key with taking responsibility for something is that you employ people better than you at the job. A lot of people get really stuck in this thing. Oh, if I employ somebody better than me, they might steal my job.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you employ people better than you, then they make you look better than you are.
Yes.
So I employed good photographers and good desk people to work around me and fill in the blanks of where my talent wasn't.
As a picture editor, you were looking, I heard, at something like 20,000 images a day. How is that even possible, Paul?
Quickly.
I get that.
Seriously, it is quickly. The thing is, I couldn't do it now. Well, I couldn't go straight back into it now. The problem with it is people look at the number and think, God, it's huge. But actually, when you're looking for certain pictures, you know the news agenda of the day. You know what your own photographers are covering. It's actually quite easy. And I would say out of that sort of 20-odd thousand pictures that come in a day, you're probably going to use 200 to 300. You would be amazed at how many of those pictures are absolute rubbish.
Right.
There is so much, kind of driftwood that kind of comes through. That the good pictures, the really eye-catching ones, stand out a mile above anything else.
So it was all going well, and you say you there's always a but, isn't there? You say you came out of that time richer, perhaps for the experience, but then this is where it starts to go awry. But you came out with depression and insomnia and an eating disorder. And if you don't mind me adding, although you've publicly said it, you're also documented as saying you were self-harming, which sounds horrific. I mean, did you feel it happening gradually? How did this start to happen?
It started with, strangely, an obsession about cycling.
Right.
Because I used to cycle to work, mainly because I hate the crowds on the trains. And it was 26 miles from my home in Sevenoaks to the office. I then started I would cycle to work really hard to get the stress out of my system and back home again. And then it would be, every day apart from a Friday. And I gradually noticed that I was using the cycling to offset the stress. Right. And at weekends, I would go and cycle, Saturday and Sunday. I'd go and do 100 odd miles on both days if I could.
Wow.
And the cycling became a way of making physical the exhaustion that I tried to hide, and a way of hurting my body to kind of exercise the pain that I had inside.
So the self-harming was the exercising then, was it?
That's how it started,
Right,
yeah.
right.
But the insomnia crept in because there's a lot of pressure, and after I lost one of my photographers, who took his own life while on assignment for me, I took that really, really badly. I mean, it wasn't my fault, but I was responsible for sending him. That stayed with me, and I started to get insomnia, and that gradually crept into very fitful sleep, and then no sleep or very little sleep. Home life wasn't going too well because I was pouring all my attention into work, trying to, stay on top of things despite feeling like I was just losing control. And it felt just like it was like a gradual sliding down a ski slope, not being able to stop, knowing that there was a massive crunch coming at the bottom and you were either going to hit a wall or you're going to fall off the cliff. So I kind of felt it coming about 10, 12 months out. But I would sit at home just really struggling with the pressure and the demands, because we'd had quite a few people made redundant. So there were people coming into the office and say, we had consultants and saying, you can do it this way and you can do it that way. And, but all they did was cut people out, and we ended up picking up more of the job, which just put more and more pressure on. And I was so frustrated. I couldn't really talk to anybody because you can't really show that sort of thing going wrong in the media business, because people, it's now more open, but at that point it wasn't that open. So I would sit at home and I just I did self-harm as a teenager, but I just revisited it. My wheels came off. To be honest, had I stayed, I'd be dead by now.
Well, that's the next part of the story, isn't it? Before the calm starts to descend, which we're going to talk about in a moment's time. But there is an important part of this story, and that involves a trip to Beachy Head, where you say a man literally saved your life, which for anyone listening who doesn't know this place, by the way, is a series of very high cliffs, very high indeed, in East Sussex. I think I read it's the most notorious suicide spot in the UK. But this was to be your epiphany moment, wasn't it? What happened?
Yeah, well, I'd gone down there. I mean, I'd sort of got to a point where I just felt utterly worthless. I'd left the Times deciding to be a landscape photographer. And basically, I hadn't really thought it through. My marriage had failed. My wife had left and taken our son, who at the time was 6. And, I'd left this great job, this fantastic opportunity. And with anything like that, it carries on after you leave. So no big company stops because one person walks away. And I knew it wasn't going to, but there was a part of me that wished it had. I'd sort of become this, I'd sort of said I was a landscape photographer. I had no idea what I was doing, but I hadn't sold a landscape picture, hadn't taken a decent landscape picture. I'd replaced cycling to work with driving around the country obsessively to Joe Cornish's famed locations, reshooting them only worse. And I just felt like I'd let everybody down. I felt I'd let myself down. I felt I'd failed my son. I felt I'd failed my ex-wife. I'd failed my parents. I'd failed the guys at the Times because I'd left. And I just thought the world would be so much better without me. And I was so depressed. I had to describe it as a low point is an understatement, but the way I can only describe it is it's like living inside a goldfish bowl. You can hear noise, but you can't make out any conversations. I found it hard to pay attention to people. I was still drinking way too much. I was driving ridiculous amounts. I wasn't sleeping. The kind of abuse of myself in so many ways was just insane. A few months later, I just went down to Beachy Head and I was just in bits. So I disguised myself as looking like I was taking pictures because I didn't want to upset anybody, waiting for the opportune moment. And then in my pacing around impatiently for people to go, and I was getting more and more kind of agitated, I knocked my light meter over the edge because I was still shooting, I'd got a 5.4 camera set up and light meter on the top of my bag underneath it, and I just caught my bag, and the light meter just tripped, and I went to grab it, and it just smashed on the rocks, and I literally lost it because I thought, that is really going to hurt. And that's not a sort of flippant thing, but it was like the first thing that went through my head.
Yes, I bet.
And I then sat down and burst into tears because now I'd failed at something else. And that's when this chap came and started chatting to me.
Do you think? Do you think he knew?
Yeah, I think he kind of had an idea. Because his first words were, "I hope you weren't going to do anything stupid."
Right.
But it's like, there's a man at the top of Beachy Head sat in tears. I think, he made me realise that I needed a lot of help. And the conversation that we had was very frank. We didn't know each other at all, but he was not judgmental at all. And, I've always had this impression that everybody was judging me.
Yes.
And I've always felt not good enough. And it's that imposter syndrome. You get a great job and instantly you think you're not worthy. And I'd gone through my life feeling that at some point somebody was going to just catch me out and say, "You don't know what you're talking about, mate, on your bike."
But do you think that's something that all creatives have to varying extent?
Yeah, I think it is, because you also, a little bit of insecurity is good because it stops you getting complacent. A little bit of stress is good because it keeps you, it keeps you on your toes a little bit. But it's when they get to extremes, when you start believing the stories that you tell yourself, and that's when it starts to become damaging.
Well, you came down off this particular mountain, Beachy Head, a very different person indeed. You'd rediscovered some faith, I think, on that day.
Yeah,
and then the change, and then the lightness started, didn't it? Really, I mean, I don't know how long it took, because I don't expect you came down off Beachy Head suddenly able to make the most amazing landscape photographs like you do these days. But it was the start of the positive journey, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not all been plain sailing since that point. I mean, there has been one other attempt at ending everything, but it's been a bumpy ride, but it's generally been a ride of positive thing. The thing that I realized that was the key turning point was that actually I'd never really taken any photographs myself, and I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was as a person. I didn't know who I was as a photographer, and I didn't know what I wanted to say. That was the turning point. I realized that I had to start to understand what I wanted to say. So I just started experimenting, and my therapist at the time, she'd been looking at the pictures I take, because my people-pleasing side just wanted to make her happy. There I was paying money to see her, and she's supposed to be helping me, but I was worried that I was making her unhappy,
right,
by not progressing quickly enough.
Goodness.
There's that, it's that pressure, that judgment all the time.
Yeah, sure.
And then, one day she presented me with some of my pictures, and she said, "Just talk to me about them." And we started chatting, and she said, "This is the first time you've been honest. You've not tried to deflect it or bounce the questions around or turn it all around on me." She said, "You've just talked about where you were when you made the pictures." And I said, "Yeah." She said, "So perhaps this is the way forward for you, that you can express yourself through visuals, but you find it hard to talk." And I said, "Well, I do find it hard to talk, and that's partly, a sort of family thing. I mean, we talked, but we never really talked in the kind of, deep and meaningful way. I think a lot of families shy away from it, and you probably talk to your mates over your parents anyway when you're younger." And being in the news industry, I hadn't got anybody to talk to, because generally I was on the car on my own or with a reporter, and you don't generally open up to somebody working with about stuff that's going pear-shaped. And certainly when you're in the office at the Times, I tried opening up to people, but you just don't trust what's going to happen. So she was really the first person that I sort of opened up to, and I suddenly felt a freedom, because she had sort of noticed what I was sort of doing, and I hadn't really sort of fully clocked it. I was kind of aware that my pictures were, for want of a better terms, kind of autobiographical or sort of like self-portraits or whatever, but not without me in them, in terms of the physical me. But she sort of gave me permission to pursue it. And that's where it all sort of started, from isolated sticks in a very calm sea, sort of lots of long exposure of isolated things, very minimalist, because it was a calm that I was looking for, because I was anything but calm. And people would always say, "Oh God, your work is so calming to look at." I think, well, blimey, if you were inside my head.
That's the word. I mean, there's lots of words I use, but that's one of them. I mean, so you stopped being Joe Cornish, and you started to become Paul Sanders. I mean, you're not the archetype landscape photographer at all, who gets excited about the perfect sunrise or the golden light, the tail end of a day. You like mood, you like mist, you like bad weather, which is good, and that we have plenty of it in this country usually. Was this a conscious decision then to find a difference or unique angle?
I think it started out as I would always try and get up, when I was trying to be Joe Cornish, I would try and get up really, really early and catch this amazing golden light. And when it did happen, it just didn't excite me. And that sounds really bizarre, but it doesn't interest me. I love looking at photographs that people have taken in that light. I just think, oh wow, they're amazing. They look beautiful. The modeling is fantastic, but it just doesn't do anything for me. I can appreciate, what people call great light, but it doesn't bother me whether I'm in great light or what people call bad light. I just like being out. And it was that realization that I didn't need to go out at 4:00 in the morning to get a great picture or do loads of research into my locations. I find it better not to. I find myself, it's more of a genuine response for me when I go out having not researched somewhere, when I'm surprised by something. It enables me to have a moment of wonder or wow, I never expected that. And that's the kind of photographer I sort of slowly turned into.
I might argue that maybe you haven't slowly turned into it, because you started life as a photojournalist and you were very good at it. You're still kind of a photojournalist because you're reactionary, but you're reactionary in a different landscape, quite literally now.
I suppose, you could look at it like that. I mean, I tend to wait a lot longer than I did as a news photographer, that's for sure. And I don't always process straight away, but I do actually still process fairly quickly as well. Right. But I think for me, it's been a slow transition, and I am well aware now that as a photographer, you're never the finished article. You're always learning, you're always moving forwards. And you've got to not reinvent yourself, but keep exploring yourself to find new ways of expressing where you are. And it's very much, I think, pictures have to come from within you. You're presented with a set of circumstances outside of your body, but the pictures are made from inside you, and they reflect how you feel and how you respond to a given set of circumstances. And you can respond in a way of, this isn't good enough. The light's rubbish, the location's rubbish, the trees are in the wrong place, there's a bench in the way. Or you can go, do you know what? This is beautiful. I've just got to find the beauty that talks to me. And it's just being a bit more open-minded.
And Paul Sanders' story continues next week on the FujiCast. Incidentally, when we chatted, we talked for nearly an hour and a half, maybe a bit more. So the whole interview, which we obviously can't fit into our format on this show, is going to be a full-length focus edition on my podcast, Photography Daily, later on this month.
Photography Daily.
If you're wondering what to listen to for the rest of the week after this FujiCast edition, and you're still hungry for more, then be sure to visit my new podcast, Photography Daily, which drops Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. UK time, 4 a.m. Eastern. Monday to Thursday, inspiring photographers share their stories.
Do I really want to risk my life for getting my stuff printed?
If the images are not beautifully composed, people will just want to turn away from the images.
But I remember the assignment because
It was a huge auditorium, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people in the room, and all I had was a 35 millimeter.
And the Friday Photo Walk is a longer outing with the show's mailbag as we go on assignment together. Photography Daily, available on all your favourite podcast apps and at photographydaily.show.
Photography Daily.
Right, back to your questions. Mike Watton from Australia. Have you ever been to Australia, Kev?
No, but I have spoken to Mike Watton.
Have you actually spoken to him?
Yeah, did a Skype call with him.
Oh, did you? One of your lockdown mentoring sessions.
Very nice guy he is too.
Okay. Well, hello, Mike. Hi, Kev. Hi, Neil. Avid listener. A student of the podcast. Oh, I've never heard anybody refer to themselves as a student of the podcast. It would appear the lockdown inspired many to revamp their web pages, myself being one. And I know, Kev, you've had a major web page revamp. I am in the middle of my major web page revamp. Website revamp. You've gone totally Squarespace now, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Everything.
Yep.
I got a message from Kev the other day that said, that's it. It's almost like he'd moved out of home.
Oh, well, not all my websites. So Fujicast is still on WordPress.
Oh, of course it is, yeah.
But that's it. Yeah, F16 is gone.
Yeah. Will Fujicast ever move over to Squarespace? There's a few things that we can still do actually on this that you can't do on Squarespace.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And WordPress has still got its place. So for things like that, WordPress is better. Yeah, for me.
While I was looking at Kev's website, I realised two things. Number one, how important the words are. And number two, I am a poor writer. Oh, come on, Mike. Whilst as photographers we can pick images we want, is it a consideration that we should employ a writer to put the words together? Appreciate the time you put into the show. Thanks, and Mike. Well, what do you think about that? A writer?
Well, you can get copywriters, of course, and
yes.
many people do use them. But I personally, I've spoken to people who've used copywriters and then looked at the website, and the words just don't seem to emulate their personality. Yeah. That's the problem.
It's such a personal thing, isn't it? The way you write is you. It's
yeah, you. It is. And one thing that I was very, very much made aware of when I did move my stuff from WordPress to Squarespace, because I had to go through every page and every post, was that my grammar and spelling in many cases was absolutely atrocious.
I'm not going like I agree. I'm just
no. You should agree. It was terrible. Comma.
Right.
And then comma. So I invested in Grammarly, which is great.
You did.
Grammarly, the app.
So how does Grammarly work then? I've seen. Funnily enough, I'm sure I saw a Grammarly ad come up in a YouTube video.
It's basically a plug-in, and it's a desktop app and all that kind of stuff. And you can have it to kind of interact with your web page. So on WordPress, for example, it will automatically check what you type in and everything. And there's a free version of it, which is great. It does,
but it won't do that on Squarespace.
Yeah.
I thought you said on WordPress you got a plugin.
No, well, just anywhere basically. You'll even see it on Facebook if you type it into your Facebook box.
So it's always live, right? Okay, all right, got it.
And there's a free version which essentially does basic spell checking and comma correction and stuff.
So that's what you would get with your little red squiggly underlines and stuff.
Exactly.
Usually,
yeah. Right. So I upgraded to the to the version that might make me sound a little bit less of a somebody who never went to school, and it's great actually. So I put everything through Grammarly, and it's what I really like about it is you can set it to give you a target. So you can say, I want this article to be informative, and I want this article to be professional sounding, or I want it to sound fun sounding, and I want this article to be aimed towards giving an answer, and it will guide you and things like that.
I'd like a kind of a setting. Can I put it on the very la-di-da setting?
Very la-di-da.
And then that'll make me sound like I'm really intelligent. Yes. Like a posh person.
Very, very probably. Grammarly, and of course, we're not sponsored by Grammarly, sadly, but we're not. But that's what I would do. Get Grammarly. I think it's like 150 quid a year. It's quite expensive.
Oh, it's every year? Oh, wow.
It's a subscription thing. Of course, it's a subscription. Yeah. Anybody who makes good money does it by subscription.
Well, I don't have anything against subscription.
I'm going to get people to subscribe to my wedding photography. That's quite how it's going to be. So I'm going to photograph their wedding, and it's going to cost. I'm going to give them a discount, so it's going to cost X amount, and then because I've given them a discount, they just have to give me another X amount every year
for the rest of their life,
and for until they're not married any longer.
All right. Well, some of our couples, that's not a great business proposition.
Yeah. Widgets, that's the way forward.
Widgets. I want a widget.
Widget money.
All right. Book of the week then. Oh, you've brought in Jane. Well, you haven't brought in Jane Bowen. That would be a bit odd. But you brought in one of the great ladies' books.
Do you like cats?
I'm not a big cat fan. I've got to be honest. Only because I'm allergic to them.
I like cats. I love cats. I used to have I rescued a cat when I was in university.
Yeah.
Called Cat. That's what I called it.
Is that what you called it?
And it stayed with us. It stayed with me through. It stayed through wife number one.
Right.
It was Gemma was there, and then eventually we went skiing. Gemma and I went skiing.
Not with a cat.
Way before the kids, and Gemma's parents, or Gemma's mum and her husband.
Well, this is getting complicated.
Tom, bless him,
right, okay.
came and looked after it, and it kind of passed away. But it must have been. I don't know.
Tom saw it off.
Tom saw it off. No, Tom.
No.
Tom loved it, but he, bless him. It must have been. I don't know how old it was. You see, because I found it and I never knew how old it was. But I had it for a good 12 years.
Didn't a vet ever sort of, because they can age them pretty well, can't they? They can. I think it's about a 2-year-old.
We lived in Richmond. Vetville's very expensive.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so we never really did much of that. Anyway, so this book is all about cats.
No wonder it died. You never took it to the vet. Poor
this book is all about cats, and it's called
Cats.
The book is called Cats, and it's by, as we all love her, Jane Bowen.
See, I never would have put this down as a book. If you'd have put a load of titles up and a load of photographers' names, I would not have associated Jane Bowen with a book about cats.
Exactly, and the book is actually, it's not called Cats, it's about cats. It's called The Singular Cat.
Oh, right, The Singular Cat.
And it's a really, really nice book. It's really cheap. It's available everywhere. It's about £2.50.
Wow.
One of her earlier kind of print publications, I think, and basically it's just her friends' cats. And if you like cats and you like Jane Bowen, then you're going to love this. There's a picture here. I'm looking on page 26, Fulham Broadway, 4 cats on Fulham Broadway. Then we have Milford Haven Docks. Oh,
I love Milford Haven. Yeah. Oh.
Well, there's on page 34, you'll see a picture of a very, very coy-looking cat,
right,
with a fishbone at his face.
Right.
Milford Haven Docks, more of them, all black and white, of course.
See, the great thing about Jane Bowen's work is I love the contrast. It's always, I like low-key pictures. I really like low-key pictures, and Jane is. She's a low-key shooter in the main, I think.
Well, I think the reason why I like this book, this one's nice, Welsh Farm Cats near Llandilo. The reason why I like this book and the reason why I got it was, it was very, very cheap, and I love Jane Bowen, but also it proves that you can actually... you can make a story, you can make a project out of something that's quite benign, really. Yeah. And these, for all intents and purposes, are snaps of her friends' cats.
Would books like this be published these days? Because life has changed a lot for photographers. When this book came out, not everybody was a photographer, of course. And I'm looking at it thinking, I like it because it's Jane Bowen. I'm not particularly a cat person. But I like it because it's Jane Bowen. I like it because I like her low key work, and there's something.
But I suppose
I know I'd pick this book off a shelf and read it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I get that, and of course, it sells because of who she was more than likely. But the point is that we all kind of worry about the bigger project, and I must do something. I must get something on my website and everything. And actually, this just goes to prove, I should say, that just looking at the published 1988, this was published. It just goes to prove that no matter what kind of photographer you are, you can always have your own little mini interests, and maybe they won't manifest themselves as a book.
Well, projects don't. Yeah, you're right. Actually, projects don't have to be this sort of. I like long tail projects, and we talked to, of course, Jim Grover last week, and he was talking about. Medium to long-term projects. But you don't always have to have the Cargay Collective, my first piece that I did for Cargay, which came out last week, I thought long and hard about that. And in the end, I actually found a load of stuff that really, that I owned, that my dad once owned, and made pictures out of those with a macro lens.
My macro lens.
Your lens. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you want it back?
Have you got my 35?
Let me have a look. Have you asked me that before?
My 35 1.4 has gone missing.
I do not have it. You've asked me. Look, I'm gonna once and for all. This is what I have in this cupboard. Headphones. This is a Oh, look, it's 35 1.4. No, it's not really. No, it's an 18mm. My one. You don't want that. It's a Nikon lens.
Nope.
Nikon. This you don't want this. Is Canon 85. Oh, I've got one more. Hold on. What's this one? Oh no, it's a 27.
I'm guessing you're hiding some lenses because they ain't the only lenses you've got.
I've got your 90, but it's in my camera bag.
You got my 90 or 60 or both.
Oh no, 60. I haven't got your 90. I've got your 60.
I haven't got a 90 anyway.
No, so I haven't got that one.
Anyway, okay, so fair enough.
Well, I'm using it.
If anybody does have my 35 1.4, I'd love to have it back. The Singular Cat by Jane Bowen, that is the book of the week. If you like cats or you like Jane Bowen or you just like looking at nice black and white pictures,
it's for you.
And it's only about £3. We will link to it, of course, on the website.
Trevor Weimer is it Weimer? I suppose Weimer. Is it? I always think with a W-E-I-M-E-R should be a Weimer.
Yeah, I think so.
Weimer.
No, Weimer.
Weimer. Trevor Weimer from Canada. Yeah, we love where Trevor comes from. He lives in Chilliwack.
Chilliwack.
Do you remember talking about Chilliwack? Yes. Yeah. Trevor from Chilliwack. There can't be many Trevors in Chilliwack. You must be the only one Trevor.
Chilliwack. I love that. I just want to hit a hammer on something when I say the name.
Chilliwack.
Chilliwack. Bang.
My question is, does the image stabilization on lenses only engage when the camera is set to multiple? On my XT20, my stabilization doesn't appear to work when the camera is set to single shots. On a side note, I continued to work during this epidemic and my shift started at 3 a.m, which meant waking up at 2 a.m. Your podcast was very welcome during my drive to work every single morning. Of course, we're not on the dailies anymore, but it's nice to know that we were with you, Trev, from Chilliwack. What about that, though, stabilisation?
Do you think there's a corner in Chilliwack? Chilliwack Corner, Chilliwack Corner. Oh, God. I love that name, Chilliwack Corner.
What about the question?
I don't know the answer, I have to say. So the image stabilization...
Does the image stabilization on lenses only engage when the camera's set to multiple? Where's Andreas when you need him?
Multiple what? Multiple shots?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Does he mean continuous focus?
Continuous he probably means. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of deep in thought about this. I'm trying to figure it out. So you can set the lenses to be always image stabilization in. Yeah. Or only when you start only when you start half depressing it.
Yeah.
The shutter button.
Yes.
I can't think of any reason why that would only be the case in continuous focus. But I might be wrong. So I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I'm really sorry.
No.
But I'm sure we'll be able to find out.
Well, the great thing about this show is then when somebody does know and they listen, they soon tell us.
I'm sure it would be in single shot as well, but only when you start half depressing. It makes no sense for it to be constantly...
Shall we put that on the "we'll find out for you" pile just over there?
Yeah.
There we go. Right, your question.
Chilliwack Corner. Okay, this is from Jake Penn.
Yeah.
I haven't read the question up front, but the headline says, "Make it stop."
What?
Yeah, so we'll soon find out. This time has made me think a lot more about the amount of money I spend on kit and whether I need it. Okay, here we go. I noticed already people talking about X Pro 4 or XT5 cameras. XT5? X Pro 4? They only came out last. No, the XT3, XT4 and X Pro 3 only came out a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, what they would like from the next...
I've got a feeling that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. When the current latest models haven't been around that long. Yes, well done. Yes. Sorry, Jake.
Were you like that in school? Never reads the question.
Yeah, always interrupting. Comma. I don't come from a film background and I only started shooting professionally 3 years ago. Yeah. But I have to say, the idea from these film camera days where you would stick with one camera for sometimes decades is extremely appealing.
What, do you remember the war?
I work with an XT2 and XT3. In reality, how long can you shoot with what becomes old tech? Within a year or two, perhaps. And that's Jake in Tampa, Florida, presumably.
Well, yeah, what you buy today is going to be outdated within 18 months usually, isn't it? That just is the way now because everything's getting better and better and better and better. I don't know how much better it can get.
Yeah, but I honestly don't think digital cameras are any different to film cameras in the respect of if you get the picture you want from a camera, then fine. What happens is, of course, because these are electronic devices, memory systems change, batteries, you can no longer get the batteries chargers break, all that kind of stuff. As things go on, that's the real tricky thing.
And actuations as well.
The technology will break eventually, but then so will the technology in a film camera could break. You could snap off the winding lever and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it is an insatiable race. People seem to think that if they have the latest one, it will make them a better photographer, and we all know that's not true. However, it might make them compete more in a marketplace. So if you're a sports photographer, for example, and your camera shoots 30 frames per second and something comes out that shoots 50 frames per second,
you want it.
You want it because it might give you more opportunity to earn money from it.
And of course, video is a very real reason why a lot of people swap around, isn't it? Because, suddenly you've got faster frame rates and...
Yeah, of course. And you know, when you think about film and digital, you know, it's harder to get film now. It's harder to get the chemicals. It's harder to process that stuff. And eventually, perhaps it will be impossible to get that stuff. So those film cameras...
Really?
Well, you never know. Those film cameras that we love and people think will be around forever because they are mechanical and analog and so won't break. Perhaps that's true, but what happens if you can no longer get film or it's just too prohibitively expensive? So I think the same parameters apply in that respect as well. But yeah, ultimately, if the camera does what you need it to do, you don't need to upgrade.
No.
Unless you're me and it's an X100V. Because that's the only camera that I've ever really gone, I want instead of need.
I thought that was classic when that arrived. And you tried to hide it from Gemma. That was even more funny. What's that box, Mullins? I tell you what. Talking of film, I've got a lovely camera. It's a
Nikon
camera. Hold on, Kev. You'll love this. Look at the size of this. Look at it. I mean, that is a brick, isn't it?
Is it a film camera?
Yeah. Yes, of course it is.
Oh, it's got a little window on the top.
There. Oh, yeah, but it's an F5, so it was quite an advanced. It was, not long before the dawn of digital. But listen to this. I'm going to take a picture of you. Okay, listen to the click. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. A better composition. Come on, tell me you're not excited by that.
No, nice. Yeah, absolutely.
And it doubles as a weapon.
How are you getting on with it in terms of?
Well, Giles has been actually doing my films, and I'm picking up some films from him.
He's processing them.
Yeah, he's processing them. I'm picking them up in a couple of days. And the great thing is, I gave him all my old films. I've only just started using it again.
Yeah.
I gave him my old films and said to him, do you mind processing these for him? He said, yeah, no worries at all. And so he's processing them, scanning them. And he sent me a message the other day and told me nothing else about them. He said, I've processed them. Pick them up in a couple of days' time. You'll love what you're going to find. I've forgotten what's on those films.
There's going to be lots of little stickers saying
this is
exposure too low, exposure too high. That's what I would be.
Do you remember the boot stickers that used to do that? There was a story of somebody who went to pick up their pictures, and they'd taken some images from a stag party. Okay, and a lot of them were quite naked pictures. And on one of the particular photographs, somebody that behind the counter at Boots had got a bit of a sense of humour, and over one of the had stuck a little sticker that said, "This is suitable for enlargement." Which I thought was a good sense of humour. Right, okay, we've come to the end of the show almost, so let's do a photo disaster. This one's from Steve Brand. Okay, well, I'm not sure this is so much of a disaster, but I'm happy to share it. 'Twas back in the days of, guess what, film. Was capturing a wedding at the Café de Paris in London. Fabulous staircase, gorgeous dress. Was that just Steve's? Flowing white lace train cascading down the stairs, and of course I staged a bride, only posed to max out the location and feebly attempt a fine art style image. Unknown to me at the time, some grit had got inside the camera and systematically perforated the film negative each time I advanced the film. So on 4 of the best 6 frames I'd taken of the bride posing on the staircase, I have a perforated tear cascading through the film on each frame, mainly across her face and her dress. You got everything else, but not the face and dress.
Oh dear.
Not a result. Situation only kind of saved by the fact I always shoot with 2 cameras, you see. So there weren't 2 slots in those days, but 2 cameras. And on the other camera, there were some images, head and body shots only, and one full body and dress shot. It was okay-ish. 20 years ago, so not clever. Software repair options, they weren't available. Not a very fruity story, I know, but it helps highlight why shooting with 2 cameras, why shooting with 2 cameras is always a good strategy. I should Coco, and there's a story to prove it. Send your disaster stories to us, please. we kind of forget, don't we, that actually, in years gone by, during the war, you didn't have that luxury, did you, with your 2-camera slot? So there's a story that supports it. Thank you very much today for your company. I know we went a little bit off-piste at times.
Yeah. That was a long episode.
It was a long episode.
Next week's one's going to be really short.
Yeah, we'll make it 5 minutes. Do you know, but I do think, actually, to be fair, that, myself and Kev don't see each other that often these days. So this is like, you're getting all 7 episodes that you used to get in 1 week in one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
Exactly.
Anyway, thank you for your emails. We do need more, obviously, always more. So if you've got a question, then please send it to us. Click at fujicast.co.uk. Click at fujicast.co.uk. I keep forgetting to tell you, so I will this week. Music is from Blue Wednesday. We're supporting music from the incredible artlist.io. If you've liked any of this week's shows, if you liked anything on this week's show, thank you. Please do remember to leave... obviously we can't tell you what to say, but if you leave a review, then it's always very appreciated. And if you want to see our offerings to the photo community, you can visit the show page, or rather the page for both myself and Kev on fujicast.co.uk. Lots of info about today's shows, links, and you've got a stack of resources there as well, haven't you? Like there's still the films and stuff that you point us towards, aren't there?
All kinds of stuff on there, free documentary films and stuff you can click on, like our Amazon links to give us a bit of money.
We promise to behave ourselves next week. See you next week. Bye, Kev.
Bye-bye.
And now the bits that didn't make the show.
But before we start, something very, very important to do. During lockdown, of course, we'd been talking about this particular event. Kev, one of your pictures is in it, so you can talk all about it.
What? Oh. Sorry. I thought we were doing this a bit later. Yes, okay, right.
Do you want to do that again so it sounds special? I might cut that out, though, as an outtake. Okay, how do we go into that?
The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.